This is National Native News. I'm Antonia Gonzalez. A federal civil rights lawsuit filed against the city of Fairbanks, Alaska, by Native men known as the Fairbanks Four has been dismissed. George Fries, Marvin Roberts, Kevin Pease, and Eugene Vent allege racial bias by police, including coercion of false confessions and fabrication of evidence, leading them to be wrongfully convicted of murder. But as KUAC's Dan Bross reports, a post-conviction release agreement the men signed with the state in 2015 has hung up their civil suit.
New evidence pointing to other suspects in the 1997 beating death of John Hartman resulted in a fall 2015 hearing and an agreement with the state, which vacated the Fairbanks Four convictions, but also stipulated that they were validly obtained at the time. City of Fairbanks attorney Matt Singer says Judge Holland's ruling hinges on the agreement not meeting a key stipulation for filing a federal civil rights suit.
By settling their case and acknowledging that their original convictions were valid, they had not obtained a favorable termination.
The charges were dismissed and the convictions were vacated, and that's about as favorable as you can get.
Fairbanks Four attorney Mike Kramer says the Four will appeal to the Ninth Circuit Court in hope of getting a more favorable opinion, but notes that's a 2-year process, another legal delay for men who were imprisoned for nearly 2 decades.
They're used to justice proceeding very slowly or not proceeding at all, and so they took it well. They understand this is going to be a long process and certainly not over yet.
Judge Holland did not decide on the broader validity of the 2015 deal with the state, under which the men also agreed not to sue, but say they signed under duress, as 3 of the men still imprisoned faced another Christmas in jail. For National Native News in Fairbanks, Alaska, I'm Dan Bross.
During a debate Wednesday night with Eastern Washington's Congresswoman Kathy McMorris Rodgers and Democratic challenger Lisa Brown touched on a top concern in Indian country, violence against women. Emily Schwing has more.
Lisa Brown says she's had meetings with 4 Northwest tribes. She's endorsed by the Spokane tribe.
There's a special, unique government-to-government relationship, and that needs to be respected.
Brown accused her opponent of weakening protections for Native women. The Violence Against Women Act, or VAWA, has not been reauthorized in Congress, but Republican Kathy McMorris Rodgers did vote in favor of extending it through the end of this year.
I have led on making sure that it is reauthorized, that it is extended. I push my colleagues to get the extension that is in current law, and it is a priority.
The 2 candidates also answered questions about women's rights and the impact of the Me Too movement. I'm Emily Schwing reporting.
President Trump's nominee to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals defended his knowledge of federal Indian law Wednesday during a Senate committee hearing. Eric Miller, when asked about tribal opposition to his nomination, said, as an attorney, he was an advocate for clients, but as a judge, said his role would be different.
Were I to become a judge, my job would be to not advocate for either side, but to neutrally apply the law, and in particular to apply the principles that tribes are independent sovereigns. The treaties with tribes must be respected and must be understood as the tribes would have understood them. And those are principles that, sadly, were not always honored throughout our history, but they're important principles that the Supreme Court has emphasized and that I would apply if I were to become a judge.
The National Congress of American Indians and the Native American Rights Fund say Miller's record has challenged tribal rights and sovereignty. The groups expressed concern his hearing was held during a Senate recess. 2 Republicans questioned Miller and another judicial nominee. No Democrats were present. I'm Antonia Gonzalez.
National Native News is produced at the Annenberg National Native Voice Studios by Kawanak Broadcast Corporation. Funding is by Odawi Law Group, provider of Indian law solutions, and by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, with support from the Public Radio Satellite System.
PBS wants to hear from you. Are you watching the 4-part series Native America on your local PBS station? PBS wants to know how you continue your cultural knowledge and tradition. PBS is collecting stories like yours at pbs.org/Native Voices.
And by the law offices of Sonosky, Chambers, Saxe, Miller, and Monkman, a national tribal rights law firm with offices in Washington, D.C., New Mexico, California, and Alaska, and online at sonosky.com.
Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.